There we go. Yes, cars still go fast. Forgive me while I'm chewing. I'm eating a handful or two of some mixed nuts. My blood sugar is a little low. So that's how I need to fix that. And hey, Jim's here. What's up, Jim? How's everybody doing? Try out experimental AI features. Get help writing or no, that's a Google thing, not a. Yeah, all this AI shit creeps me out, man. Jim says, just ordered a new guitar. What'd you get? And dare I ask who you ordered it from? I guess not that I would have missed out on anything at this point, but. I bet you ordered another Gibson. If I had to guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. John Garrett says, hello from Mayflower, Arkansas. I have never heard of Mayflower, Arkansas. Let's see. Where is Mayflower, Arkansas? Mayflower, Arkansas. Appears to be about dead center of the state. Almost. Dead center of the state. Looks like right outside Little Rock. There it is. All right, cool. I think I've only been to Arkansas like once or twice. I think we drove through it, on a family vacation or something as a kid. But Jim bought an Ibanez Q54. I don't even know what that is. Ibanez Q54. Ooh, nice. Oh, that's one of them. They're headless guitars. If I had to guess. It sure looks like one of them there headless guitars. Ah, not bad. Very cool. And what I like about what Ibanez is doing with their headless guitars, they're putting that little wide thing up there at the very top where the headstock would be. So it looks. So I'm assuming so that you can still hang it on a hook somewhere. Because that's one thing that sucks about headless guitars. You can't fucking hang them up anywhere. And right at 5 pounds, awesome. Well, here I'll tell you what. I'm a YouTube whore. I'm gonna add that there product to the shopping tab here. Ibanez Q54. So I'm staying away from. I don't talk about my employer, or now I guess now former employer here on my channel, but I do appreciate that. And to be fair, I got laid off. Not. Maybe we'll add a few of them. Yeah, to be fair, I got laid off. I didn't get fired or anything. They just eliminated my position, which is too bad. A lot of beautiful places here. There are a lot of beautiful places in Arkansas. Like I said, I haven't really been there other than a couple of times when I was, when I was a kid. But yeah, I know there's a lot of beautiful country down there in that part of the world. My dad and stepmom are in Alabama, which is, I know it's not right next to it, but it's kind of sort of in that same region. They're in would that be northwestern Alabama? So, so Jim says, "Yeah, I know, but still sucks." Yeah, you're telling me. You are telling me. I am I don't know. I hate being unemployed. I'm starting to go a little stir crazy. I have discovered I conducted my experiment in February, and I uploaded a video almost every day, and it turned out to be a hell of a lot more work for basically no reward. So I'm gonna go back to 2, maybe 3 a week in a live stream, and that seems to be about all that you guys can stand of me. So. Finally, Pat Choco's finally made it in time for a live stream. Been watching your vids for years. Well, welcome to you. Hope that hope you enjoy your time here. We're not doing I don't know. We just kind of hang out here on Saturdays and talk guitar gear and and whatever else is going on in the world that we need to talk about and solve all the world's problems, and then go to it. So you're working your ass off. No one can ask for more than that. Yeah, yes, I have, but the older I get, I've always been a hard worker, but the older I get, I realize that some people have had the gift of luck that I have not had. So, and if you're just not joining me, if you see me munching on some of these mixed nuts, my blood sugar is a little low at the moment. So, I know me eating on live, snacking in live stream kind of off-putting to some people, but this is necessary at the moment. So. That is so depressing. I'm not real sure what you referred to, but I'm not depressed about anything. There was one time, I don't remember, I don't know, a couple years ago, I was doing a live stream and I was eating, I don't know, something similar. I don't know, almonds or something like that. I don't remember what it was. But there's one dude just fucking lit me up in the in the chat. So what the fuck matter with you? That is so off-putting. It was so rude. That was so unprofessional. That is so go fuck yourself. Jesus. How's that for your professionalism? Let's see. Hey, Robert, sorry to hear about being laid off. Hopefully you'll find something soon. I hope so, man. I've been firing out. Maybe it's because of tax season or something. I don't know, man. But, I've been sending out resumes all over the goddamn place. And, I've had one interview with a shop that I didn't even like, for a number of reasons. They've been in business for a long time, but they're not for me. And they're also more than, also an hour away. We didn't even talk salaries or anything just because it was, there was too many other things about it that weren't going to work. Mike Ball said, get a new car and go fast. Hell no, I just paid my car off a few months ago. I'm going to enjoy that for a while. Oh. Mount Salma. I can never pronounce your screen name. I always just call you Mount Salmonella. So you said you busted your ass making a video a day, but it didn't translate to any more money. Well, not only that, but it actually seemed to translate into less views. The more videos that I put up, the less you guys watch them. It didn't seem to matter what the topic was. There were some things that I'm pretty confident. Some videos I posted that I'm pretty confident would have done better. Now, anyway, I'm pretty confident that they would have done better had they not fallen in line with something before and the day before and the day after, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, I don't know, man. YouTube's a funny thing. Some people it works out for them to do that, and it makes sense. But I've never had the chance to try it and experiment with it, and now I know. Working keeps you busy, and when you go from working a shitload to a lot of downtime, it can weigh on you. Yeah, all of a sudden having a lot of time on my hand, it was cool for a while, and then now it's kind of getting to the point like, all right, let's get this fucking show on the road. Honestly, at this point, I'm kind of hoping I'm able to land another gig where I'm still working from home. That would be ideal, but I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. So, let's see. Since I joined late, you may have already talked about it. What's the status on the band you're trying to put together? Still about the same. We've managed to have a practice or two. So the biggest thing we still need a vocalist. Still looking for a singer, but we have. The rest of us, the other four of us, have managed to get in the same room and jam a few times, and we've managed to there's a few songs that we all know together. So that most at that point, it's mostly been just about everybody making sure that that we everybody's gonna there's chemistry and it's gonna gel, and there's no chud buckets in the band or any shit like that. So. And there's not, these, like I said, these are all great guys. I've known everybody for years. All people that I've always wanted to play with. So, right now, one of them is down in Florida on vacation. So, we're gonna reconvene again here in another week or so. And for right now, yeah, that's where it's at. Still need to find a singer. So if that doesn't happen, this thing isn't going to go very far. And finding a singer is not easy. Says I've been working from home for 4 years now, but my company's really pushing back the office. And I was enjoying. I was heading into it. I've been working from home for 4 years now. God, is that? Yeah, right at about 4 years. So, at the time that I got laid off, and my position, most of us were remote anyway. So, but yeah, we will see. I have decided I'm not, unless it's back in the guitar business, doing something in the MI industry again. I'm likely not going to go back into sales in another industry unless I have to. I have had, I don't know about the rest of the country, but Penske owns a shitload of car dealerships here in the area, and I did submit my resume to them, for. They didn't have anything open, but they have a thing where you can submit your resume for future if they do have any positions open. So sure enough, they called me actually just, a day or two ago. So yeah, we have some sales positions open. I am not selling cars for a living. Engel Artist E651. What do you think of that one? I mean, it's Engel. I mean, I can't tell you exactly which one that particular model is. Let's see if I can find it. I mean, it's Engel. I don't think you're gonna go wrong with it. Artist Edition, 100 watt tube guitar head. Is that the Richie? No, it's not the Richie Blackmore. The Richie Blackmore thing's the E650. Is that right? That one I love. That thing's badass. Yeah, that's the yeah, the E650 is the Richie Blackmore, which surprisingly has a shitload more gain on it than I ever thought it would. Yep, that's badass. Yeah, I mean, Engel, they don't make junk, so that was actually looks like one of the more affordable amps. $2,200. That ain't bad for an Engel. You could spend a lot more money on those if you go for a Savage or something like that. Jim Woodard says, I've been working from home 2003. I don't know what I'd do if I had to go back to the office regularly. I've discovered over the last 4 years I don't want to do it again if I don't have to. So fortunately, some companies seem to be kind of moving back in that direction after now that the pandemic's kind of died down. But I don't know. I do not know what the future holds for me. So we'll just have to see where I land and who wants me and all that kind of stuff. So, I don't know. Enough about that. Job hunting sucks. What kind of music do you play? Rock metal covers. So, ironically, the first, we all got in the room. The first song that we all knew and all were able to play together front to back was The Trooper by Iron Maiden. So if that's any, that's that, and that's I put together a set list for us that's got all kinds of stuff. But I mean that's probably a pretty good indicator of what we're intending to do. With me, I'm pretty much doing most of the rhythm stuff. The other, Chris, the other guitar player in the band, is a monster guitar player, and I can pretty much pull out anything that I want. And not worry about it because he can handle it. So before we got together, the bass player actually texted me one time. After looking, he's like, "Are you sure?" Said, these guys, he and the other guitar player, they had never met. And he said, these guys able to handle this, able to handle this stuff, and trust me, don't worry. So I sent him a YouTube video of Chris playing, and he was like, whoa. So yeah, if we're able to get off the ground, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. I got freaking lucky in the finance with my history. Oh, getting into finance. I see. Okay. I've got, a real good friend of mine is a really successful stockbroker. A couple of friends of mine actually are both, they're partners. But I can't be a suit, man. I don't. That's that kind of thing ain't for me. That kind of thing, it is not for me. And that type of sales isn't for me either. I worked for Angie's List for 3 years, and that was the grindingest sales gig I've ever worked. I don't miss it. Matter of fact, I told myself I would never find myself in an outbound sales gig like that ever again. A friend of mine has one of those Engels. It's a beast, although I still prefer my Steve Morse 100. Yeah, like I said, I mean, Angle doesn't make junk, man. I mean, I mean, all of their amps are pretty much badass. I mean, there's what was the rack mount one that I was looking at a few years ago. Oh, God, I mean, there's so many of them now. You know, the Iron Ball, the Savage, of course, is that's like one of the premier metal amps on the planet. It's been around forever. The Fireball and the Powerball, those are the two that I'm thinking of. That were like Angle staples for a long time. And then I first heard the Ritchie Blackmore on. I first heard the virtual version of it, the plug-in, through. I think it's IK. I think it's Amplitude 4 or 5, whichever one of those I heard it on first time. I don't know, but I don't use amp plugins very often. But when I do, that's usually one of the ones that I go for because it's the killer sounding amp. What the 84050 was that was the tube stereo power amp, and I thought they had a preamp. They used to have a rack mount preamp to pair with it at one point, but I don't know what happened to that. Maybe it's still out there, but it's just not on this website that I'm looking at. E530 preamp, that's what it is. It'd be cool to have for studio or something. Let's see. I just picked up a Peavey Bravo 112. I'm not familiar with that one. Peavey Bravo 112. I don't know what the hell Peavey Bravo is. Let's check the Googles. Peavey Bravo. Silver-sided looking thing. Or, I'm sorry. Teal stripe. Yeah, silver-sided. Teal stripe. Blue stripe. Whatever they call it. Series. The solid state or the tube? That's a tube combo, isn't it? Ah, badass. One on reverb for $300. Looks like. Well, maybe. Are they tube? Maybe not. Yeah, it looks like solid state. There's a video. Well, I don't know. There's a video there from Kyle Bull. It says Peavey Bravo 112 all tube combo, hidden gems, he calls it. It's from just a couple months ago by the looks of it. Interesting. No, it says it's tube. He says it's tube. All right. Tubes are inside the chassis. Okay. 25 watts. Interesting. I still keep meaning to pick up. I want one of the red stripe versions, but I still keep meaning to pick up a Peavey Bandit one of these days. I just want to. They're supposed to be excellent pedal platforms. I just want to see what I'm missing. But who knows? Any suggestions on what to try instead of Celestion Vintage 30s for metal and rock? Because 80% play with them. Yeah. I mean, if you're looking for an alternative to Vintage 30s, I mean, there's any number of things out there, really. I mean, I play the my favorites are the warehouse guitar speakers, Veteran 30s, which are I mean, they're clones of vintage 30s, but they don't, I mean, honestly, they sound better than vintage 30s. I've noticed that a lot of people, who play, who try out warehouse guitar speakers, all seem to think they sound better than Celestians. Maybe not everybody, but a lot of people do, and you might even probably just throw me into that category as well. To tell you the truth, I think they're fantastic. But yeah, if you want something like a different sound, check out the warehouse guitar speaker stuff. The Celestion 7080s actually are pretty good. That are those will give you a way different type of sound altogether. Greenbacks never hurt anybody. Greenbacks are kind of cool because they especially if you're not using like flamethrower distortion. If you tend to dial it back a bit on the gain, for more clarity, like I try to do. Greenbacks are cool because they actually, they're lower wattage, so they break up a little earlier than a lot of other speakers. So, I mean, if you're gonna run that Angle Savage into a greenback cab, you're probably not gonna dig it. But if you run you dial the gain back on it, and or even hell, maybe even just the rhythm channel on a 6505 or something like that, I think you might like it. So, and I've also heard, I've not had a chance to try it myself, but I've also heard that a lot of the Fane speakers that are out are pretty badass. Who's the German dude? I always forget his name. I think he's got that that way uber high gain distortion pedal. Cole something Studios, guy on YouTube. I think he just released a Fane speaker that's got his signature on it, or at least, if it hasn't been released yet, I think it's on the way. At least that's what I saw on one of my forums recently. So start there, or you could really piss off the masses and do what I do, which is just go get yourself a good old fashioned Marshall 1968 speaker that has the G12 T75s in it, the ones that everybody bitches about, but I think they sound great. So. And Don Evans says Peavey Scorpions sound good for metal. Just make sure you get the Peavey Scorpion guitar speakers, not the PA speakers. Christian Cole, I think that's it. I think that is him. I might be wrong about that, but pardon me. So yeah, honestly, when it comes to stuff like that, trying out, different stuff that's kind of off the beaten path, from like vintage 30s and Mesa Boogie dual rectifiers and stuff. Really, the best advice I can give you, just try it. See what you think. I say it over and over again. Who cares what anybody else thinks? If you like it, and if it sounds good to you, that's the most important thing. Jeff Seven says my buddy Bones has a high watt with fans. It'll shake the dust off your pant legs. Well, high watts will do that through just about anything. Some of those amps are ungodly loud. Some of the loudest amps I've ever heard, actually. Some of the loudest amps I've ever heard are high watts. They don't break up much. They don't do shit for distortion. Or God, really even low to mid gain, but man, are they loud. I have an Eminence 10-inch Raging Cajun. I'm thinking about adding another speaker with it. Do you have a suggestion on what that could be? Yeah, I mean, I think, other than my old Blue Voodoo cabinet, which I got rid of years ago, and really, I think that B52 cabinet, I think they're B52 proprietary speakers, but I think they're made by Eminence. Beyond that, I don't really have a lot of experience with Eminence speakers. they're I know a lot of guys like them, especially a lot of metal guys. I think that Raging Cajun is one of the more popular models for metal, and shit, what's the I can't recall off the top of my head. Like I said, I'm not familiar with I'm not gonna pretend like I'm familiar with that product line. I'm not. I just haven't used it much. Nothing against them. They're fine, but I just haven't used them much. Do you have any experience with Hughes and Kettner amps? Yeah, a little bit. We've, I mean, I've played several. Like, oh boy, shit. The Triamp 2s. I remember I played a couple, which were really, really good. And the Tommy Thayer signature duotone, I think. I also got my hands on one time, which was pretty cool. And I think they had I know they had a solid state amp once upon a time, like back in the '90s or early 2000s or something. I think it was called the Attack or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the name was, but for solid state amp, it was pretty good sounding amp. So. Hmm. Yep, that's it. The Attacks. ATTAX. I knew it was something like that. Volume's not low. I'm muting while I'm chewing. Sorry about that, guys. I just had my blood sugar a little low today. So, but yes, the Attacks. ATTAX. Which says didn't like those one bit. I didn't think they were that bad. They were metal, basically metal solid state amps, but. I'm late and don't know, but have you ever played through a Mesa Express Plus with the graphic EQ? I played through pretty much all of the Express amps, the generation before that, before they started adding the graphic EQ on them. But but yeah, I think maybe, let's see. I'm trying to remember because we were I was a manager at Guitar Center at the time that those came out, and I was right there at like 2000. If you're not familiar with this history, there was a stretch that was like 2010, 2011. Guitar Center had been a Mesa Boogie dealer for a long time. Mesa Boogie always had really, really strict uh, rules about who could sell their amps, and like even not all Guitar Centers could carry their amps. Like I think the next closest Mesa store to us, was, I don't recall. It might have been Cincinnati, which is 100 miles from here. If it wasn't Cincinnati, it was one of the Chicago stores. So, they were really, really strict about who could carry their amps, and no discounts allowed whatsoever. Mesa Boogie's always been real strict about that, and they still are today. They just, and those rules are in place because they don't want to be in a position that they're competing against themselves. So, they don't now they no longer have the have the proximity rule, but they do still have the discounting rule. But they don't have the proximity rule under now that Gibson owns them. Anyway, but we carried all of the Express series amps, and I think they discontinued those, and they just came out with the updated version with the graphic EQs right around the time that Guitar Center and Mesa Boogie started butting heads. And without getting into that whole story, basically it all came down to, well, what the hell, I'll go ahead and tell it. When Mesa first came out with their line of pedals, they had, they wanted us to, and by us, I mean Guitar Center, and this is a conversation they would have had with the buyers, the category managers. Obviously, I wasn't any part of this. But as I understand it, Mesa wanted us to put all of those pedals in all of our stores. And, the buyers are like, whoa, let's pump the brakes here. Let's put them in 50 stores to start out and see how they do. If they take off, then we'll put them in more stores from there. But, we're not just going to blast out 260 some odd stores worth of pedals at that time. Mesa said, oh, we've already done the market research. We know they're going to do well, this, that, and the other, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that led to a great big blow up. And, finally somebody said, we've had trouble getting support from you guys for years. Every time you guys send us a bunk amp out of the box, you guys won't do anything to fix it. We got to take care of it ourselves. So, basically, long story short, that led to Guitar Center giving Mesa Boogie the finger. And that's how that relationship ended until Gibson bought him out here just a couple years ago. So it was right around that time that they came out with they discontinued the old Express line and came out with the new version with the graphic EQs. I think I may have gotten to play them once or twice. And I did. I mean, they sounded okay. Mesa Boogies always sound good, for the most part anyway. I'm not a huge fan of rectifiers, but most of their other amps are, always sound good, even though they're oftentimes a little dark for my taste. But yeah, I wouldn't kick one out of bed. Robert, did you buy a Chapman Strat for blues? Is that holding up? I did. I bought the model called the ML1 Traditional, which is their Strat style guitar, 3 single coil Strat style guitar. Which was it was a $500 guitar at the time. I don't know if that one's gone up in price or not, but yeah, it's held up just fine. It's been a good guitar, especially for I got to give Chapman credit. They're their guitar, import guitars, which I guess are they're all still just import guitars right now. But they're excellent values. I think every one I've gotten my hands on, of the V2s, the current line, because the V1s were being made in a factory in China and they were producing garbage, and then Chapman said this ain't gonna work, so they took all their designs and everything, moved them to one of the factories in Indonesia, and that factory's kicking ass. So if it's one of the current run of the Indonesian made guitars, all those that I've seen have been really, really good guitars. So my advice is buy with confidence. Let's see. Ian's Guitar Shack. Hey, Robert, I like the Ibanez Mini Heavy Metal the best. The Super Metal, you mean? The one with 4 knobs came in second to me. Yeah, that was kind of the Ibanez Maxon Super Metal shootout video that I did a couple of or I guess was that just last week? I guess it was. Hell, I don't know when it was. Last week or two, anyway. That was kind of a fun thing, more for my own personal entertainment than anything, because I love the Super Metal. But I'd never heard, honestly, I'd never even heard even two of them, side by side like that before. And I've got to admit, I think it was either the Super Metal or the old Metal Charger, the MS-10 Metal Charger, which was the last one in that chain in that video. It was one of those two. one of those two were probably my favorites as well. So the 4-knob Max on the Super Metal that one was cool. The SM9 Plus, or the SM9 Pro Plus, they call that one. It's cool, but it kind of had a little bit too much bottom end for me. And one of those EQ controls were, it was more like a notch filter than it was a mid control or something like that. Let's see. Mesa Boogie isn't even available anymore in Europe. Something with certification. Funny is every other non-EU manufacturer gets their amps out here. I didn't know that. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Wow. Oh, I didn't know that. I mean, they've. I can't speak for before, for how their European distribution may have been going prior to Gibson buying them out, but I'm sure Gibson buying them out was probably going to improve that situation if it hasn't already. But again, I don't know. So, truth be told, I've never been to Europe, so. Do you have any other hobbies besides pedals and guitars? Yes, actually. As a matter of fact, believe it or not, I'm actually a pretty avid golfer. And I said avid, not skilled. So don't get too confused. But I play a fair amount of golf, and I'm actually I do a fair amount of cooking. Actually, I really enjoy food and travel a lot. And while I don't travel anywhere near as much as I wish I could, I do have. I do enjoy cooking quite a bit at home. Particularly Mexican and Italian stuff, and I also kind of really enjoy making my own sauces. Be it like demi-glace steak sauces, pan sauces, stuff like that, for various dishes like that, or coming up with I like to make like blender, like Chipotle Mexican style, Mexican-esque sauces in the blender. So, something I could put in a squeeze bottle and then store in the fridge for a little while and use it on all kinds of stuff. So, and yes, and as somebody's, I also do collect watches. So, which is, this one I just put on this morning. None of the really, guitars are the expensive one, but actually, I guess playing golf is pretty expensive too. But yeah, believe it or not, despite the fact that I've got a zillion pedals, I'm really not that much of a pedal junkie. I don't get into all the boutique-y shit and all the. I don't take pedals apart and examine the circuits and and all the components and all. I don't care about any of that. I own a lot and I use them, but really, this guitar thing, it's really, I'm a guitar guy at the end of the day. It's really, guitars are what I enjoy, are the components of the whole thing that I enjoy the most. What's your opinion of the Fender Hot Rod DeVille 410? It was my first tube amp. I still haven't loved it, although not super crazy about the overdrive. It sounds best when ran into my Leslie 16. God, I hate questions like that, man. I always feel like you're putting me on the spot. I own this amp and I love it. What do you think of it? Well, if you own it and you love it, why do you care what I think? I'll be honest. The Hot Rod DeVilles. They're on their fourth, fourth generation now. I haven't heard the fours. I haven't heard the fourth generation. The twos and the threes were a slight. The gain channel anyway was a slight improvement over the twos. I've always preferred the 212s just because I'm a rock and metal player, and 10-inch speakers don't really do it for that style of music. But I've always preferred the DeVille 212. But regardless, I don't know. I haven't heard the current version of them, so I don't know if they finally fixed that gain channel on that amp or not. Good clean sounds though. They do the clean thing really well. Kobe also says, no wonder Mesa Boogie is a bit hard to find. Actually, that story that I just told when Mesa Boogie and Guitar Center, told each other adios, go fuck yourselves. It was probably about a year or so later, maybe a little more, or maybe it was a couple years later. The local Guitar Center, and this is after I left, a music go round moved in in the strip mall right across the street, or kind of like catty corner from the Indianapolis Guitar Center. And that store, ironically, because they, Music Go Around primarily carries and specializes in used gear, but the that was that Music Go Round that actually became the local Mesa Boogie dealer there when Guitar Center dropped them. So, which is kind of weird. Now that now that Mesa bought them, or I'm sorry, the Gibson bought Mesa. The guitars, Mesa's back into Guitar Center now. I think both stores are carrying them. So, we used to have trouble finding one dealer around here in this area. Now we've got two that are right across the street from each other, and hell, Greenwood store may be carrying them now too, for all I know. I don't make my way down there that very often. Mesa Boogie used to be available easily here. I was recently offered a Mark V head. I'm not a Mesa guy, though. Marshall's number one for me, followed by Engel and Bogner and Orange, of course. I don't think there's anything wrong with any of those amps. I mean, I'm with you. I mean, I'm more of a Marshall guy anyway, so the Mesa sound is much darker sounding than the Marshall thing. So nothing wrong with either one of them. Just I'm just a Marshall guy. Now I will say that when it comes to the Mesa stuff, the Mark Series amps are those are badass. I would not mind. I wouldn't complain if somebody gave me a Mark III or IV or anything from from a Mark III on. I wouldn't. I'd love to have any of them. In fact, a buddy of mine has a. I can't remember if it was a Mark III or a Mark IV. I think it's a Mark III head, but he's got the provenance to back it up. But he bought it from somebody else's, like they're assigned underground metal band, one that I'm not familiar with, but they are. Shit, I read one of your comments and I lost my train of thought. Long story short, he's got the provenance to back it up, and that amp actually was once owned by Metallica. So I don't think I'm ever going to be able to pry that thing away from his hands. That doesn't mean it's going to stop me from trying, though. He loves that thing. I don't blame him. Just unboxed a couple amps I won on Goodwill online auction. Epiphone Studio 15R for $13 and Kona 35R for $9.99. Kind of tough to beat those deals. Hell, any amp's worth $13. Dino Totino says, my hobby is eating. Mine too. Probably shouldn't be because I'm diabetic, but... But yeah, I do enjoy good cuisine, and honestly that's one of the when we go on vacation wherever we're going, that's one of our favorite things to do is find find some really cool local restaurants. I think it was the last time we went to Cancun in Mexico. We kept walking by this damn place that, the last two times we'd been there, this place called Porfirio's. And, finally we said, what the hell, let's actually what happened, my wife, she got a craving for churros. She wanted churros. So she got on the Google machine and, she said, found that this place has churros. And I said, well, where is it? She said, oh, it turns out it's just, not far, a mile or so up the road from the resort. So I said, all right, well, let's go there for dinner tonight. So, we went there, and, not only did we get our churros, but we had the best restaurant experience we've ever had anywhere, ever. It was incredible. If you ever go to Cancun, Mexico, and if you like the tropics, I think anybody should go to Cancun, Mexico, because it's one of the most popular destination places on the planet like that. And we just love it there. But if you ever go to Cancun, you need to set aside at least one night and go eat dinner at Porfirio's, because it will blow you away. And it's pricey, but not nearly as bad as we were expecting. For the two of us, I think we got out of there with the tip for like $125. So, the same experience anywhere here would have been $200 easy. And it probably would have been cheaper had we paid in pesos instead of US dollars. So Robert, I got an email today that's supposedly from you telling me to text you on Telegram, but I've never used Telegram. Is there another way I can contact you? That wasn't from me. I get, there's, sounds like you got a spam email. I got, there's, spam bots that seem to hit up YouTube videos, my videos from time to time. Anything Telegram, anything that says, anything if they got Telegram or something in the title, I guarantee it's a spam. It's a bot. Don't mess with it. So. Don Evans says, I don't get offended easily, just like to hear other people's opinions on gear. Isn't that why we're here? Yes, of course. That is why we're here, is to talk about gear. However, I have learned, and I apologize if I was mistaken about this with your question, but I earlier on in my YouTube career, I fell victim to people looking for purchase validation more than anything. They asked me what I think about something. Turned out I didn't like it, and then all of a sudden they get pissed at me. So I try to avoid those situations when I can. Not that I care if anybody gets pissed at me. I just don't, I'd rather avoid the headache. I'm not a Mesa fan, but if somebody offered to give me one, I wouldn't turn down. Yeah, I wouldn't either. Honestly, I don't think I've never owned a Mesa now that I think about it, but I did actually like dual rectifiers once upon a time, but now as I've gotten older, I've grown to not like the muddy bottom end that they crank out. A lot of metal guys seem to love them, which kind of blows my mind, because they won't use it they won't touch it without using a tube screamer in front of it, or whatever their favorite overdrive is. I guess I kind of doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but I had a pair of Eminence Red Coat Governors in my Peavey Classic 50. I think that's their version of Celestial Vintage 30. I couldn't tell you what the Eminence Vintage 30 equivalent is, to be honest. I couldn't tell you. Let's see what the Google machine says. It says it is. Vintage 30 clone. Does Eminence make a version of the Vintage 30? Eminence is the Governor. according to these cats on the gear page, looks like there's several versions of the Governor, but any one of them looks like they'll get you in the ballpark. Not identical, but close. So, yeah, there you go. Looks like it's the Governor. Now, the red coats and all the, the different versions of that, I couldn't tell you what the differences of any of those are, but... let's see. I just moved within 5 minutes of 3 mini courses. It's going to be a fun year. I've got I've got 2 courses within 5 minutes of me. There's a small they're both 18 hole, but there's a smaller course just north of me that's actually a little pretty one of the more affordable courses in the area, but it's actually a pretty nice course despite the small layout. That they do take care of it. And sometimes I like to go up there because that one's short enough I can actually walk that course. The other one is the other direction, and also is a great 18-hole course, but it's way too long. I walked it one time and realized that I ain't doing this again. Maybe if I ever get in better shape, I'll try it again. But right now, it ain't happening. Dunlop Crybaby, you like? I like the sound of it. I hate the functionality of it. Unless they did just finally start recently, they just came out with the spring-loaded, spring-loaded versions of a couple of their Crybaby models. Finally, I haven't tried those yet, but I hate wah pedals with toe switches. I can never tell if the damn thing's, if I hit the switch and the damn thing's on or off, or what. I don't know. So, I think I was telling that story just yesterday, and I was playing a gig one time, and ended up one time I was playing like half a set, half an entire set with the wah pedal on, didn't realize it. So, I'm not big on wah pedals with toe switches. I mean, Dunlop Crybabies, they sound fine, but functionality-wise, no thank you. I much prefer my Ibanez Weeping Demon or one of my Morley pedals. Or something else with a spring-loaded treadle on it. Ever use or own the Boss ME70? If so, thoughts on? Nope. I'm again, I'm not a processor guy. Not big on processors. So the 70, I think, if I remember right, I think that's an older one that I think was since been replaced with the ME80, and I think was just recently replaced with the ME90. I think. Yeah, the 90 is the current version of that one right now. I admit I'm kind of curious, and I do kind of want to pick up a GT1000 Core just to see what I'm missing, because that one also does have some pretty cool studio features to it. But I mean, generally, effect processors and stuff, they're just not my thing. I'm not good at dialing them in, and dialing them in annoys the shit out of me. I lose patience pretty quick. Spam and viewer comments always ask to telegram them. Yep, that is accurate. So, and it always seems to come in waves too, man. Like I won't get any spam comments or anything like that in any of my comment sections on any of my videos for months, and then all of a sudden they start flooding. They'll drop 15, 20 15, 20 spam comments like consecutively on the same thread. Dumb shits. Hey, John Garrett down there in the super chat. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Got to bounce. Good luck. I appreciate it. Again, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I don't know how much of it is left in your part of the world, wherever you are. Unless you're there in Arkansas, you've got an hour more of it left than I do. So, anyway, but regardless, thank you very much for the super chat and the support I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Let's see. Redcoats UK, Patriots US. Okay. Referring to the Eminence governor speakers. Kobe Out says, I still think you would be a superlative boss rep. I've sent him my resume, but they don't. According to their website though, they don't have, they don't have any openings. None that I've seen anyway. So, I mean, I'd love to go work. I'd love to go to work for that company, but they do not seem to have a slot open for me right now. I like my Vox 847, which is pretty much the same as a Crybaby. I agree. Toe switch is annoying. I just prefer the grit and growl of a potentiometer wah, but that's just my preference. Yeah, I mean, the Vox 847 or I prefer the 847A, so that you don't have to rely on the damn batteries. But I mean, it's definitely a good, very comparable to the Crybaby stuff, and that's actually what Hendrix used. So, I mean, that model's been around forever. The Dean Caddy you gifted me on Christmas a year ago has a twisted neck, but she's my scales guitar. Well, I'm sorry to hear that the neck's twisted on it, but it was straight when I had it, so I don't know what's happened since, but I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm glad it went to a good home. Let's see. Donner Noise Gate, my buddy, trying to sell me one for $10. Are they decent? I couldn't tell you, but I mean, for $10, grab it. My advice, grab it, try it. If you don't like it, throw it back up on Reverb or something for that much, or you might even be able to make a few bucks on it. I can't imagine. I can't imagine it's anything bad. I mean, there's noise gates aren't that complicated. The new Epiphone Custom is going to be killer. The Epiphone's coming out with all kinds of stuff right now that's catching a lot of attention. Hell, that the drummer from Nirvana has got the most popular Epiphone signature model guitar out on the market right now, as of here just in the last couple of days. Those guitars are gonna sell like fucking hotcakes, man. Let's see. Come to think of it, did Digitech start marketing as a separate brand again? Separate from what? They were sold. Harman sold them. They sold off the Digitech and DoD brands, which are the same thing, but they sold off that brand to Court a year and a half ago, something like that. But year and a half ago. So when that happened, they brought Tom Cram back in. He's going to be running things again, thank God. But I don't, where I haven't seen a whole lot since that was announced. So I don't know where they're at in that process, or they may still be trying to work out manufacturing stuff. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of speed bumps that I imagine they probably had to go through, and a lot of things to get ironed out. What's up, Robert? I'm back for another live stream. Love the channel. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate that very much. I'm glad that's why we are here. That's why I keep doing this. As long as you guys keep enjoying it. Does Dave Grohl have a Gibson signature or just the Epiphone? I think originally he had. I think it was originally it was a Gibson signature that he had, or maybe I take that back. I think I might be thinking of the Chris Cornell. I don't know. I don't know. I'm almost willing to bet that he did have there. He had a Gibson signature sometime. He's been playing a 335 forever. But I think it's. I'm sure that he's had plenty of played plenty of custom. They've made several custom guitars for him. As far but if it's ever been a production model, I thought it did, but maybe not. Gibson Dave Grohl. Yeah, there's a signature version, DG 335. Gibson Dave Grohl signature. That was back in 2014 anyway, according to. Nope, I'm sorry. This was a 2014 model that I'm looking at. There's some clown on Reverb here trying to get $7,800 for this thing. Never mind. Maybe I take that back. That appears to be a pretty fair price. Yeah, Gibson did have a, there was a Gibson version of the Dave Grohl signature, and they're bringing, they're people trying to get stupid money for these things. All the way up to 12 grand is the highest I've seen so far. So nope, there's one. There's some dipshit trying to get $21,000 for his. Gibson Dave Grohl DG 335 Pelham Blue, first run, 2007. Somebody else trying to get $20,000 for a Pelham Blue. Somebody trying to get $19,000 in Japan. Yeah, so all the ones that are trying to get $20,000 for them, none of them are here in the U.S. The highest one I see here in the U.S. is somebody in Hawaii trying to get 15 grand for theirs. One in Seattle for 12. One in Dallas for 12.5. The rest of these are all $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, which is still insanely ridiculous money for a freaking Gibson, especially from that era. But so yeah, there you go. They did once upon a time make a Gibson signature model. This one, the Epiphone, I'm sure, is probably based on that. So you heard the SOD Speak English or Die album based on one of your videos. Great album, played it a few times. If you're into thrash metal, 80s thrash, that's definitely one to check out. That was a Scott Ian side project kind of thing that it was it was kind of a cult classic thing at the time. We were all real big into it in junior high in the early 90s. Yeah, I love SOD. Great band. Jeff Seven says Dave Gibson was a Trini Lopez. It seems accurate based on what I was just looking at. That's a bit expensive for a stick with strings. I agree. Wonder how much the Hendrix Flying V that's floral painted is going for now. I don't know, but I mean, hell, let's see if I can find it. Gibson, Jimi Hendrix, Flying V. That one was. There's people on. Looks like there's people asking anywhere from 12 to 14 grand on Reverb. Again, I don't know if those are local or not, but see what's on eBay, if anything. Because when that guitar came out, the truth is nobody really gave a shit that much. Gibson, Jimi Hendrix, Flying V. What? Oh, that's got to be a fake one. Somebody's trying to sell one brand new from China for $220. Yep, that ain't right. Let's see, there's the Murphy Lab aged one on eBay, 12.5, 13. There's one selling for 9, for about 10. Let's see about completed listings, what they're actually selling for. The black one looks like it's plenty of them listed, but none of them are selling for that kind of money or anywhere close to it. None of them are selling, period. So, like I said, when Gibson came out with that guitar, I mean, they sold them, but I mean, it was really one of those things. I mean, it didn't make anywhere near as big of a splash as they had hoped. I mean, really, realistically, nobody really cared about it that much. I mean, yes, Jimi Hendrix played a Flying V, but he's much more. Everybody really knows Jimi Hendrix for playing a Strat. So, so a lot of people asking stupid money for it. Nobody's actually buying it though. Robert, would you accept a real offer on that white Frank guitar you have? The guitar that intrigued me, and I don't want to play tremolos. No. Do you like the new Line 6 Express pedals? Oh yeah, those I think Fluff just did a demo on those recently. They're honestly the controls to me seem to be really really similar to a Line 6 Spider amp. And I know that's kind of how they intentionally designed it that way. So, again, it's more of a modeling thing. I'm not gonna jive with. It's just not my thing. Just not my thing. I'd be open to trying it out, but so you'll be able to buy a Les Paul custom Epiphone, correct headstock. I still want the Gibson. I want the Gibson Les Paul custom. I already have a Epiphone Les Paul custom. Nice, nice guitar, nothing wrong with it, but that's not the right one. I was into Super Joint, Ritual, and Venom. Venom was a great band. Trogley has one of the Hendrix V's. I don't, I know a lot of you guys follow him, and I don't really follow his channel much. I don't know much. I mean, I think I've watched a few of his videos, but I think even the ones that I did watch, his were pretty long, and I don't think I sat through them all. I don't have a real wide attention span these days. Maybe I should, but that's also kind of, I try to keep my own videos down to 10 12 minutes tops. Sometimes I go over that a little bit, but I mean most of my videos, especially gear pedal demos in particular, I try to I generally try to get those under 10 minutes these days if I can. Wasn't that Flying V like 10 grand new? I don't remember what it sold for. That's probably about right, 10, 12,000. I mean, that one came out in 2007, 8, something like that. I don't remember what year exactly came out, but that's probably about for that era. That's probably about right. Which also makes sense why some people are still trying to get 12.5 for them now. Going to any live music events or excited about any tours coming up? I don't know. There might be. I guess it just kind of. I don't know. I mean, there was a few that I wanted to go see last year, and I didn't get to go see any of them. Uh, but I really wanted to go see Pantera, or Pantera Reunion, which I guess is debatable if it was actually Pantera or not. But I still called it Pantera. Anyway, but I really wanted to go see that and didn't get a chance to. I unfortunately had to miss that one. I think I saw Rob Zombie and Alice Cooper coming around this year. So far, that's the one that's on my radar more than any of them. I really would like to go see that show. I've seen both of them live, but I've never seen them together, and that'll be really cool because they're those two live acts have actually really inspired each other quite a bit. Rob Zombie's live show was very, very heavily inspired by Alice Cooper's, and Alice Cooper later went on to say that Rob Zombie's live show was like seeing every drop of ink in the tattoo parlor come to life, and I find both of those to be pretty accurate. So I would like to go see that. We'll see. So I would buy some land in Scotland. Scotland, too freaking cold, man. Too far north. I went to Dimebag's house a couple years ago and went through his museum, and I tried to buy a Seagram 7 guitar, and his guitar tech said, "Yeah, it's for sale, 50 grand." Yep. I imagine there's. And I'll bet you that's probably one of his cheaper guitars if you can actually find any of them. I don't know who has who owns all of his Dimebag's old guitars, but especially now that Vinny's. I know Vinny had some of them, and then he died. So I don't know where they all are now, but there's some of those I'm sure are worth a lot of money. Let's see. Seeing Alice Cooper years ago, best show I've ever seen. I saw Alice Cooper. I saw him open for Maiden in. Oh shit! When was that? 20. I think it was 2013. My wife was with me, and I think we were married at the time. We were already married, so I think that would have been 2013. That was awesome seeing those two together too. And then I saw Zombie in 2015 or 16, and then again the following year. I saw him by himself, and I think it was 20. Shit, I don't remember what year that was. I think it was 2015. And then I saw him again in 2016 when he toured with Korn and In This Moment. Robert, have you ever played a Maybach or Eastman solid body guitar? If so, what do they play like? I've not, Maybach I've never even heard of. Eastman I've never gotten my hands on. I don't. Let me look up Eastman guitars. If that's the one I'm thinking of, those are the ones that are like, they make like all the retro style. It's maybe not quite what I was thinking of. Yeah, these aren't the ones I was thinking of. I can't. Cool guitars, they look cool anyway. But no, I've never played them. I've never gotten my hands on them. I don't. I have no experience to share on those. Let's see. I always have to mail order GHS nickel rockers no matter where I live in the country. What gives? That is bizarre. Oh, for nickel. That I don't know. Is there? I mean, there's just there's just some items that the big the retailers just don't stock, and you got to order them online. I not on every guitar, but on some of my guitars, I like the Elixir Polyweb strings, which you can find the nano webs. That anybody that carries Elixir, you're almost always going to find the nano webs for electric, but never the polywebs. So I almost always have to order those. I consider myself lucky to have seen Pantera at Ozfest in '98. The girl I took is gone also. I didn't see Pantera. Was that '98? Seems like no. I saw them with. I think they toured with White Zombie a few years prior to that. That might be where I saw them. God, that was brutal. Robert, what do you think of mixed headstocks such as ES335 semi-hollow with an Explorer headstock or with a Flying V headstock? I know Aldo Nova has a Gibson Les Paul standard with an Explorer headstock. That Aldo Nova Les Paul is, I've only seen one of those. Those are really rare. Very rare. But, it's honestly, I think it makes sense for Gibson to do that from time to time. Like on this Dave Grohl model that's got the it's a 335. It's got the Firebird headstock on it, I think. It's just it kind of changes things up a little bit. And let's face it, their 6 inline heads, Gibson's 6 inline headstocks in particular, hold tune a hell of a lot better than their 3-3 headstocks. So there's that advantage as well. But yeah, I don't have any problem with it. I'm actually glad to see them do that sort of thing from time to time. Just to mix things up. So I don't know that I want to see it on any regular production models, but it's cool to see it on a signature or something like that every now and again. Our local store has both poly and nano web in stock. Yeah, but for electric, find a polyweb for acoustic. A lot of places carry those, but I'd never seen anybody carry the polyweb for electric. Rick Nielsen of Cheap Trick has all the other Aldo Nova guitars. That doesn't surprise. If that's true, it's not going to surprise me. I've always kind of wondered somebody's been hoarding those things. I don't know if they made that many of them to begin with, but I've seen one. They are in person anyway. We had one at GC when I was a manager at the store. That was 10 years. It was more than that, longer than that, since we actually had that guitar. Trogley was creaming when he finally got it all to up. I don't blame him. Those things ain't easy to find. Do you think the Boss Katana 212 with a speaker change out would be good enough? I wouldn't. The last thing I would do to a Boss Katana is change out the speaker. That speaker is engineered specifically for that amp, and by that I mean because it's while it's not, it's kind of sort of a modeling amp. It doesn't model anything specific, but it kind of operates on the same technology. Anyway, those the speakers that Boss puts in those are engineered specifically to optimize all those different tones that you can get out of those amps. So, and there's just nothing else that's even close. You throw a Vintage 30 in it, it might sound good on some of the metal stuff, but maybe, but some of the other things that amp does, it's going to sound terrible. So the last thing I would do to that amp is change out the speaker. You think gear prices are going to go down? Not really, to be honest. Now most of, they've unfortunately, all the manufacturers have seen that, it doesn't matter, even if they jack up the prices on stuff, we're still willing to pay it. So I strongly doubt it, unfortunately. Um, Now there's a lot of economists out there that are starting to gripe about manufacturers. Not, this isn't just internet dropped out for a second, so now it's telling me I'm back. uh so I don't know, so unless somebody steps in to put a stop to that, and I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't see. Now, there's some companies like like Boss, for example, that have tried really, really hard not to raise their prices any more than they have to. I mean, Boss, when before all this inflation shit hit, Metal Zone was selling brand new for $89.99. Now it's $99.99. So they have they've raised their prices pretty much. They haven't started taking advantage and gouging people, raising shit 20% and stuff like that, like a lot of other companies have.